Good evening, campers. How are we? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda, where I hope you're enjoying the return of Champions League football. I took a little look at the Arsenal game earlier on and watched the first half of Spurs against Villarreal. Let me know, well, keep me up to date with what is going on there in the second half, if you'd be so kind. Tonight, of course, we're going to speak about Arne Slot's press conference ahead of the game tomorrow against Atletico Madrid. We'll be talking about Curtis Jones and when he will be back and available for action. A couple of other bits and pieces around ISAK as well. But most importantly, we're here tonight to have a laugh and a bit of fun. So do let me know what you want to discuss and I will do my best to get to it. Right, let's kick off with, well, do you know what? Just because we're waiting for people to come in, let's have a little laugh at United again. I know, Craig, we've had enough. I haven't. There's still a little bit more baiting to go. So, Manchester United have an 11% chance to be relegated this season, which isn't much, right? But they have an even smaller chance of making it into the Champions League next season, with a 7.3% chance, according to, well, the statisticians at Opta and Sports Joe. So 7.3% for United to get into the Champions League, 11% for them to be relegated. Wow. Madness. Closer to being relegated than to being in the Champions League. But it's okay, though, because Gary Neville predicted United to be in the Champions League spots. And sure, he's a professional pundit. So we got to bow down to Gary there. I mean, does anybody ever take anything that he says about United and their league position seriously? But the good news for United is it will only cost them a mere 12 million quid if they want to sack Ruben Amorim. That's all. Just 12 million. So what's 12 million to United? They've got loads of money. So let's wait and see. When are United in action in Europe this week? He says, knowing damn well that they aren't. And as I said, I'm here for it. I'm never going to stop. That club is giving me day after day of enjoyment and joy. So I hope that we're all in good spirits. Well done to Harvey Elliott as well. Opened Villa's account this season with a goal in the League Cup to put them 1-0 up at half-time anyway. So well done to Harvey Elliott on that one. Brace for Darwin, I believe, for Al Hilal as well. So well done to him. David, lovely to see you in, bro. As always, love your messages. Love seeing you in, sir. And I hope that you are well. Zumzi said, hello, let's go. Hopefully ISAK scores tomorrow. Fingers crossed he does, my man. And thank you for being with us as a member for 5 months. Look, lots to go through tomorrow. And I am absolutely buzzing for this game. Cannot wait for the return of Champions League football. And again, always lovely to kick off. I tell you what, though, I was keeping a little eye on the Marseille game as well against Real Madrid. They're no mugs. That Marseille team are not half bad at all. We've got them away one of the latter stages of the Champions League. I think it's our second to last game, maybe. That's going to be a difficult task. They're very well organised. They play some good football. And in their stadium, I think that is going to be a difficult game for us. So, yeah, do let me know if you're paying attention to that one as well, because they're a good side by the looks of it. Give me a striker from Sweden. Nearly there, folks. Nearly there. It's so exciting, isn't it? Just knowing we're going to get to see him. Even seeing the training images today just really made me excited at what's to come. ISAK is a Liverpool player. It is real, and we will finally get to see him get some minutes tomorrow. Well, all going well. Tim, thank you, bro, for being with us for 24 months as a member. And I don't know what you're thanking me for, but let me thank you, sir, instead for your support. Appreciate you, Tim. Trent off injured. I'd seen that, yeah, 4 minutes, something like that, 4 or 5 minutes. He had to go off. He was replaced by Danny Carvajal. Look, I never want to see any football player get injured. Certainly not even a former player of ours. Don't wish injury on anybody. So hope he does make a recovery soon. But either way, that's a little setback for him in his Real Madrid career. But again, it's he signed a 5 or 6 year deal, so I'm sure he'll be fine. Right, where to go, folks? Where to go? Where to start us? Let's start with a conversation from Mirror Football around Manchester City setting to rival Liverpool for the signature of Mark Gay. I don't think we've anything to worry about on this one. Now, look, I don't know it as a fact, so like I said, please don't take this as gospel, but I think all the reports of Mark Gay, Chelsea, Mark Gay, Bayern Munich, Mark Gay, Manchester City, I really don't think we've got much to worry about. I think he's going to be a Liverpool player, and seemingly I don't say it's a done deal, but I can't see that changing in that situation. I think he ends up at Liverpool. When and where that is, that remains to be seen. Now, there has been some talk of a potential future return to management for Jurgen. Sport Bild have said Benfica presidential candidate Cristavo Carvalho said that he will sack coach Bruno Lage and try to persuade former Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp to take over should he become the Benfica president. Look, I'm sure that's just a headline grabbing statement. I don't really think that Jurgen Klopp will be making his way over to Benfica. Craig, did you see Diaz got goal of the month? I didn't, Christina. No, I didn't really. I don't pay too much attention to the Bundesliga. I do check in to see if he scores, and see how he's getting on over there. But no, can't say I knew that he got goal of the month. But he's a good player. We knew that. We knew when he was at Liverpool. Jan said, I'll be there tomorrow. Can't wait. Nice. Enjoy. I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful atmosphere. So here's a mad stat for you. Who Scored has said that Cody Gakpo is currently the highest rated winger in the Premier League this season with 7.66 as a score. What do we think about that? Cody Gakpo, the highest rated winger in the Premier League. It got me and Connor thinking, are there many great left wingers in world football at the minute? Think back a few years ago, 10, 15 years ago, there was loads of them. I mean, there's not really. Is it a position that's dying off a little bit, or what are we saying? Give me some shouts who you think are some of the best left wingers in world football. Vinicius Jr.'s name would probably be up there at the top of the list, but there's not many. Luis Diaz, of course, very good left winger himself, but yeah, it doesn't seem as plentiful maybe as in years gone by. Kvaratskhelia, yes. I'll give you Kvaratskhelia. Sadio Mane, when he was at Liverpool, Ben, absolutely, but not really now. That his standards are, well, he's playing over in Saudi Arabia, so I refuse to acknowledge anybody playing over there as one of the best in the world, to be honest, because they're playing at a much lower level, but in his day, absolutely. Rafinha's okay. I'll never buy into this superstar Rafinha stuff, and I know the seasons he's had at Barcelona show that he's moved on, but I don't know. I don't think of Rafinha as somebody who will be talking about in 10 or 15 years as one of the best who have done it personally. Barcola, I wouldn't say. No, I'm not having Barcola either. I don't think Barcola is that good. I think he's decent. There's a young flip by the name of Rio Ngamoa who might be worth keeping an eye on. He could be the next big thing on the left side. Christian, how are we? One player to play in every position. I don't know what you mean. One player to play in every position / goalkeeper, ME equals nickel. No idea what I'm supposed to do with that, Christian. Maybe somebody else can break that one down for me. I haven't got a clue, dude, where I'm supposed to go with that one. Tony said young Rio, Craig. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Nico Williams is a decent shout as well. Yeah, look, I just don't. Maybe I'm being old here, and maybe I'm looking back over my years watching football. I feel like there used to be more. I wonder if we'll ever see a time where we revert back as well to normal wingers and not inverted wingers, where you have a left footer on the left wing, a right footer on the right wing. I wonder will we return to seeing that in fashion again in football soon? Connor said him a five-a-side has to be right up there. It's not what I've heard, Crosby. That's not the reports coming our way, sir. I heard you've got a load of toilet roll, though, Connor. Right, let's talk Curtis Jones for a second. So, the manager has said that Curtis Jones will train with the team tomorrow and hopefully be in the squad for the Merseyside derby on Saturday, but won't be available for the game against Atletico tomorrow. Which is good news. You want Curtis Jones available for the derby. You do. You want as many homegrown local players as possible in games like that, and Curtis Jones knows what the derby's about, so hopefully we do have him available. I want to just comment on something today. So I put up the preview earlier on for the game tomorrow, and one of the comments really made me laugh. Now, you guys watch the channel. People who are here in the quiet times are usually the ones that watch most of our content, so I want to say something to you. Would you consider me a Dominic Szoboszlai hater? Just out of curiosity, would you consider me somebody who goes in and hates on Dominic Szoboszlai? Because I read a comment that said, it's really disrespectful to say the only reason Dominic Szoboszlai should be in our midfield is because McAllister's injured. This Craig lad's a hater. And I was like, you what now? Firstly, I didn't say that. I said I don't like him being shoehorned in at right back. I'd like to see him in midfield. And somehow that comment had 100 likes on it, on the video. It's mental. I don't know what channels these people are watching, but anybody who watches this channel knows that I've been nothing but complimentary for Dominic Szoboszlai. Said he's our best player this season by a long, long way. Even when people last year were saying that he isn't good enough, I was saying, relax, this dude is really good. People are mad. Mad. Trying to accuse me of hating on Dominic Szoboszlai. Trying to accuse me of being a Macca lover and hating on Dom. I don't know where these people get the cheek to write this shit from. Because it's no basis in reality. Chris Thorne said, I wonder, is Konate learning Spanish? You said lizard number 2. So on this, right, I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet with the Konate stuff because he's jumping on social media, replying to posts about transfers. I seen he replied to an Anfield Index post where David Lynch said something along the lines of, in the midst of all of the transfer stuff, let's not forget Ibrahim Konate is a world-class defender or a very good defender. No problem with David Lynch saying that because he's right. But Konate jumps on to say thank you. And then he jumps on another post a few days ago to, remind people that he had 2 bad games. And it's starting to wind me up because you know what we haven't heard from Ibrahim Konate? I want to stay at Liverpool Football Club. And that's the only thing I want to hear. So rather than jumping on, trolling on social media, I don't understand why he doesn't just say he does or doesn't want to stay. I don't get it. And I think he would be better served just either keeping his trap shut and continuing to play. And if he keeps playing as well as he has, happy days, because he's been very good last couple of games. But I don't like this. I don't like this Konate going on social media stuff, replying to posts. It annoys me. It annoys me because he hasn't said he wants to stay. So I think fans are perfectly within their rights to be a little bit concerned that we may have another situation where somebody's heading off. I don't like it. And I wish he'd just come out and say he wants to leave or he's going to stay, one or the other. But I don't want another situation of all of us having to pretend that everybody's great and there's nothing to see here and there's nothing to be concerned about, only for him to swan off to Madrid. And look, again, his career, he's perfectly entitled to swan off to Madrid. But to call out people for calling him out for, let's be honest, he did have his shit first 2 games. Whatever he wants to say about that, he did. And if people want to criticise that, they're perfectly within their rights to. In the same way, he had a very good next couple of games, which he did. And people are right to praise him for that. But we knew Virgil wanted to stay. We knew Mo wanted to stay. And the only one who never said that they wanted to stay or not was the one who left. So I think Konate should just say what he has to say about his future and stop this jumping on looking for sympathy or an attaboy in the comments on social media accounts. I don't like the look of it. But then again, look, that's just my take on it. Maybe you guys see it differently. Elmer said, just checking in, Craig. How's life and the family? You'll never walk alone. Thank you, mate. Ori Konate, consider him gone. It's behaviour of a man trying to justify his move in his own head. I agree. And look, he's perfectly within his rights to do this. And I promise you, whatever happens, I won't be on here slating Konate for moving. It's his career. But I'm also not going to sit back and see other fans called out for daring to ask what the fuck is going on. Because it's all very well and good jumping on to say, I'll do this, I'll die for the team, I'll do that, well, will you stay? Are you going to stay? And in fact, do you want to stay? Because that'd be nice to know. Whatever about the contract, it doesn't take much to say, I want to stay at the football club, but the numbers have to be right, my team are still talking. Not very hard if you want to stay, is it? But if you don't want to stay, this is, well, the tried and tested path that we've seen before. So either stop on social media or come out and say you want to stay at the club. One or the other. I don't like it. I don't like fans once again being taken for idiots. Simple as that with me, and I make no apologies for it. I want Konate to stay. I like Ibrahim Konate. He's a good defender. But, getting touchy for people, calling him out on stuff when he hasn't said once he wants to stay, I think that should be where the focus is. Corbin said, Valverde, I would love at Liverpool. What a player. He's brilliant. He's brilliant. And he would have been an ideal Jurgen Klopp player as well. Fede Valverde, he is a top-notch player. H. Burgess said, Elliott scored for Villa. Shows our star boy is showing his skills that he's learned. Yeah, delighted for him. And I hope it goes well from a Villa. It was one of those that I think we all understood why Harvey Elliott wanted to go and get more game time. We all loved him. We all still love him. But it probably was the right thing at this point of his career. Now, hopefully, he goes and shows what he can do with Villa and Liverpool trigger that buyback clause in a few years. Now, of course, he does have a loan spell at the minute and Villa have an obligation to buy him for 35 million. But, yeah, I wish him nothing but the best, honestly. Nothing but good words to say about Harvey Elliott. Robert. Elliott scores first goal for Villa tonight. Yeah, delighted from Robert. Feels weird seeing him in the number 9 shirt, though. Yeah. It feels a little bit weird on that one, seeing him with the number 9 shirt. But again, wish him nothing but the best. Right, let's talk about Alexander Isak and the excitement ahead of tomorrow. So Arne Slot has confirmed there's a chance that Isak will make his debut tomorrow. And he said the only thing he's certain of is that he won't play 90 minutes. He also said in his press conference today, Arne, there's some pundits who cannot stop talking about the £450 million we've spent, but they always forget the near 300 million that we sold for. And he's right. They do. But I love that he's calling it out because it should be called out. Yes, we spent a lot of money, but again, we brought in a lot of money. So it was just a good summer for Liverpool. And again, good investment from the owners. Well done. But I like that our manager's calling out this stuff. And he didn't let it go because he kept digging in on it. He also said then about Florian Wirtz, there's so much focus on the new signings, especially the pundits who prefer other teams who cannot stop talking about the £450 million. I repeat, £450 million. I repeat, £450 million. And I'm not adding in extra words there. That's what he said. And I love it. And I'd love your thoughts on this one. So James Pearce put up a quote from Arne Slot, and it really got me thinking. He said, if we sold Dominic Szoboszlai tomorrow, he would be worth £100 million as well. Thoughts? Do you agree? I do. I really do. That's how highly I rate Dom. Sorry, I meant to say I hate Dom, don't I? Silly me. He's only playing because McAllister isn't fit enough. But no, in all seriousness, I want to know, would you agree with Arne on that? So, is Dom now a £100 million player? Is going to be the question we're asking. So, is Dom now a £100 million player? Because our manager thinks he is. And you know what? I agree. I think if Dominic Szoboszlai was to go back on the market now after his time at Liverpool and show him what he can do with the market the way it is, he wouldn't be too far off it. This one. Matteo said, is Giovanni Leone impresses? Will Konate go in January? I don't know what's going to happen with Konate and when, Matteo. I really don't. There was one report today, mate, that said, let me just read it out for you. So there's this report that Empire of the Cop posted, and they said Real Madrid are planning to offer €40 million for Ibrahim Konate in the January transfer window, and Liverpool could accept as they don't want to lose the defender for free next summer. I struggle to believe they'll come up with that number in January. I really, really do. Because if we're talking about Mark A, let's say, on our side, and we were to go in January to make an offer, I don't think it would be anything close to the numbers we were talking about in the summer. So for me, if Real Madrid were to come back in for Konate in January, or to come in for Konate in January, I think the numbers would be a lot less than that. And look, let me say this. I would bite their hand off for that number if it was clear he didn't want to sign the new deal at that point. Absolutely. But we'd have to have somebody ready again to come in, whether that's Mark Gay or not. So this is a very interesting one. And I think it will be worth keeping an eye on the centre-back situation over the next couple of months, because Mark Gay's name is going to come up over and over again. This situation with Konate ain't going to go away until he signs a new deal or says that he isn't. And this is what I keep coming back to. We've just gone through a season of that. We don't need another one. So stay off social media, EBU, and concentrate on doing the football-y stuff on the pitch. Now, if you'd like to say you want to stay, by all means. Right, where are we at? Stargirl said, brilliant to hear that the Hillsborough law has been implemented. Very proud of everybody involved who pushed for this to happen. Yeah, agreed, Stargirl, and thank you for bringing that up. That was something I meant to talk about yesterday, actually, but got sidetracked, so thank you for that one, my friend. Cody said, hey, Craig, just checking into the stream now. Have I missed much? No, mate, no. We only started at 9 o'clock, and we're just working through the news as we're starting. Jan Panting said, defo 100 million plus, he's ours and not going anywhere. Yep, I often think back about that window or that time when we signed that midfield. So we lost out on Caicedo, and that was a tough one, you know. We thought we had him, we lost out. But if you look at the money that Liverpool have invested in the midfield since, bringing in Dominic Szoboszlai, bringing in Ryan Gravenberch, bringing in Alexis McAllister, the use of money has been phenomenal. Like, what was all of those three about? £135 million, something like that? You know, versus the 115 that we would have had to pay for Caicedo. Now, look, I'm not sitting here saying I wouldn't have liked to sign Caicedo. I would. But I have to say, for it not working out for us, it worked out pretty well for us after that. Because those three players, McAllister, Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, are a mainstay now of the team. Absolute brilliant signing. So, yeah, I often think back to that era where we missed out on Caicedo because it probably did work out for the best. Harold said, do you think Gay is better than Konate? Big fan of the channel. Thank you, Harold. They're both good defenders, mate. They are. They're both very good defenders. They've got different attributes. I would say on their best days, I would say Konate is a better defender. But I would think Mark Gay probably has more consistency. Mark Gay wouldn't be as good aerially as Konate, but I think he reads the game a little bit better. But look, they're two very good defenders. They really are, both of them. And if you have either one as one of your centre-backs, I don't think you're going to go too far wrong. Robert Reed said, hey Craig, how many do you think Liverpool will put by Atleti? Because I heard you say you think it'll click Wednesday night. So I went 3-0 in my preview. Now look, it's always really difficult to sit here and predict a game of football. We don't know what's going to happen. I just have a feeling. Of course, I can't quantify tomorrow or why I feel this way. Normally, Atleti are a dogged team, very difficult, and, you know, run down the clock, use the dark arts. Something in my mind, and it might be just willful ignorance, I don't know, but something in me feels like we're going to put in a performance tomorrow, and it will be a marker that we're laying down for the rest of the season. I could be probably going to be very wrong on it, but I certainly feel really optimistic going into the game tomorrow, and I'm going to go for me 3-0 like I did in the prediction. Jacko, Madrid is going to offer us a pack of cigarettes and a 6-pack in January. Probably with one can gone out of it as well, or one bottle gone out of the 6-pack, Jacko. Look, it's a weird one because we can talk about taking the money or not, but if you take the money in January, well, you've got to go and get somebody else, right? Because it's no good saying, oh yeah, we'll take the money if it's on offer from Madrid for Konate if we don't have another centre-back, because, you know, we have a second half of a season ourselves to get through. So, is there anybody in the chat who's still optimistic on Konate, or am I reading you guys wrong? Because my belief from chatting with you most nights is I think most of us feel Konate is not going to stay. Now, it doesn't mean, again, I'm not asking for anybody to be vitriolic or anything. I just struggle to really get to a position where I think he's going to stay. You know, it doesn't even look like or feel like it's getting close or moving close. Now, I hope he stays. I'm going to keep saying this so people hear me, because I'm really going to have to underline what I'm saying these days. So I'm saying I want him to stay. I would love him to stay, but I can't see a world where he stays at this point. Nah, Konate's gone, said Paolo. Travis said not optimistic. Billy Beckner said not really. Colette Bowen said he's gone. He's not staying, said Jonathan. Rachel celebrating with Darwizzi. Matt said he's going. Konate's gone for Darwizzi as well. He's definitely leaving. Konate is gone. So there's not really anybody in the chat then that thinks he's staying. So at this point, can I ask you something else? Would you like him to come out and tell you what he's doing? Or would you rather he just kept playing football and carrying on? You know, genuinely, sincere question. And if this is clipped up or watched by anybody, I really would love to know your thoughts on it, because I'm somebody that would like to hear what a player wants to do. So, like I said about Trent, I'll say the same about Konate. I'd like for Konate to go, I love this football club. I've enjoyed my time at this football club, but football careers are short and I fancy trying something new. So I won't be renewing my contract, and at the end of the season, I'm going to try something new. If he came out and said that, and I'm only speaking for me, it wouldn't make it any easier. It wouldn't paper over the loss, but I'd appreciate it rather than being strung along throughout the course of the season. Because what gets to me the most is not what Konate does or doesn't say, it's the articles. It's the reading and writing about it. It's seen every time we're going to play a game, his name linked to Madrid in the media. Madrid plotting where they're going to use him in the team. All this stuff that we seen last year with Trent, it just took away my enjoyment of what was a brilliant, brilliant season last year, and I don't want to live through it again. So that's why I'm saying I'd love him to be just up front. If you want to stay and it's about numbers and you're still hoping, say that. Love to hear that. Love to hear the plan would be to stay, but the numbers have to be right. Fair enough. But this treating us all like gobshites, like Trent did, I can't be doing with it. And I can't be doing with anybody telling us how to feel either. You know, we're going to have journalists telling us, like we did with Trent, that we should all stand and applaud him as he heads off. Look, I don't want anybody to be vitriolic towards him, but the fuck am I going to stand and applaud if somebody isn't upfront and honest with us? You know, if he wants to go and he says, I want to go, then I sincerely will say, fair enough, you fulfilled your contract, off you pop. But I don't like this manipulating and pretending like there's still a chance and we all have to play along with it. I just don't like it. Wiffa said, I have a controversial opinion. I think that the window where we signed Soboslai, McAllister, Gravenberg and Endo was better than the window we had, or this window, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. I think it was a really good window and you've made a good show. You know, it was a really good window. But I think when we look back, mate, in a few years' time, Wirtz, ISAK, Ekatike, I don't know. I can't see anything beating this window long term. But it is a very important window that you've spoken about, and it really has shaped the new iteration of Liverpool 2.0. Like, that midfield refresh was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So I agree with you, it was great, but I don't know. I struggle to think past this one, mate. This was an exceptionally good window. Do you think Ngamoa makes an appearance on Wednesday? Tough one to say, Robert. It could be dependent on how the game is going again. I'd love him to, but we know one thing. We're almost certainly going to see Rio and Ngamoa start next week against Southampton. We're almost certainly, well, we know we're going to see Giovanni Leone start that game. So I think tomorrow might be a case of maybe if we're a few goals up and the manager wants to give him a run out, great. Maybe if we need to find something different at the end and the manager wants to throw on some more forwards, maybe. But I don't know if it'll be a preordained thing that he wants to give Rio minutes. It'll be interesting enough to see if he utilises them on Saturday against Everton in the Merseyside derby. I'd imagine that. Imagine if Rio came on in the Merseyside derby and scored. It'd be, you know, he's already a cult hero and loved by Liverpool fans for the Newcastle one, but imagine he did it in the derby as well. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm always excited when we get a chance to see him because, you know, he's a really exciting young player. LFC said, you're overthinking it, Craig. He's not a local lad. He's a pretty good partner for VVD for years. Another pretty good partner for VVD. Basically, with Liverpool, who cares? It'll be a seamless transition. I care a little bit. Now, of course, I get what you're saying. And I do overthink a lot of stuff, mate. There's no denying that. But I just have a gripe about being taken for an idiot. it just winds me up. I'm sick of football fans being treated like we're all gobshites, and that we can't see what's going on right in front of our eyes, and that we all have to wear kid gloves and be nicey nice about it. But you're probably right. I am probably overthinking, and like you said about the transition, I've got no qualms about that either. If Mark A comes in, I don't think we miss a beat defensively. I think we carry on Mark A, Leone, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, happy days. If Konate signed a new deal and stayed, again, I think it would be a seamless transition or seamless extension. But I just don't see any world where that's going to happen at the minute. And that's why I get wound up by it. But I do take what you said. I probably am overthinking it a bit. Ollie said, is it true Rayo's a United fan? See, I think he's a Liverpool fan, and I think there's images of him in a Liverpool kit when he was younger. But others have said otherwise, so I don't know. Maybe we'll find out someday. Maybe somebody can ask him directly. Jacko said, Konate can 100% go in January if we can land Mark A and we have no big centre-back injuries. Well, we're going to talk about another centre-back in the late night video, so make sure you tune in for that one, because there's been one linked with us and one linked away from us, so I'll be talking about those at 11. Stevie Boy said, as it's on Konate to come out and tell us fans if he's staying or going, is it on Liverpool as well to tell us what the situation is? So, I don't know that Liverpool can tell us what the situation is, Stevie Boy. So, with Konate, what I'd be looking for is what we got from Virgil and Mo. I want to stay. Fair enough. Everybody has their own number. Their agent will have a number that they want from the club in any negotiation. I think we all understood that the same with Mo and Virgil. So, to some extent, I don't really think the club can make the decision, because it's ultimately Konate's decision to make. But what I would say is, let's say Konate came out and said, I want to stay, but we're not there numbers-wise. We need to get to where it needs to be. I think that would probably push it back, and Liverpool fans would go, well, he wants to stay. What's stopping the deal? Try to get it sorted out. I think it would be good PR and a good move from him to kind of, like Mo did, almost put the pressure back onto the club to go, well, he wants to stay. He wants, like Mohamed Salah. Everybody was like, give him his dough. He wants to stay. Pay the man. So, yeah. But, again, I don't think we're going to get that answer one way or the other. Daniel said, I think Ibu will stay and holding out for more money. Liverpool is the place to be now and will be hard to stop once they all settle and click. I'd love you to be right, mate. I really would, Daniel. But here's what really worries me. So we know, according to reports, because we're not inside these negotiations, but we know, according to reports, Daniel, that this is the third offer he's had of a new deal. Now, again, we're taking somewhat of a leap of faith because we don't know the details of all of these. But multiple reports have said that this was the third offer. Now, some have said it's been turned down. I've not seen anything written by anybody on the English side of it to say that it has been. But if a third offer has gone in and we're still not there, I don't see how much more that goes on. Because if you and I are having a negotiation to buy a car or to buy a house or anything, you'll have your number, I'll have my number, I'll put in the first number, you'll say no, you'll tell me what you want. By the third time I come back to you to make an offer, if we're not there, or really, 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 really close, I'd be very concerned. So that's why I feel it's very unlikely at this point that there will be an agreement. Because I think we'd have got there. Liverpool would have said, right, there you go. And we ain't there. So that's why I just don't think we're going to see an agreement. But let's wait and see. Because it feels like something happened around winter time. There was some very credible journalists saying a deal was really close. And in fact, some of us thought it was going to be announced. And then it went quiet. Then we had the time where Konate said that the reports in the media were bullshit. And he called out the media for lies on it, saying that it wasn't close. So I don't know where we're at now then. Because these were good journalists that were saying it was close. I think it was Paul Joyce, certainly Fabrizio Romano, I think, was on it. So, you know, where were they getting that information from if it was close? It feels like something has changed. Either Madrid doubled down on how much they want them. His agent said, well, I think you're worth more. Something seems to have changed to change the situation a bit. Matteo said, if Flo struggles in the Prem but shows out in the Champions League, will that be enough or will it be viewed as a letdown? I guess it depends on who you're speaking with. So for me, Matteo, I'm always somebody that wants to give somebody a year when they come in. But you do want to see signs that things are going in the right way. I've seen in the first 4 games in the Premier League from Wirtz improvements. Now, not enough that he's at his brilliant best yet, but certainly enough to tell me he's going in the right direction. So I'm okay this season as long as he keeps progressing. And eventually, I think it will all click and he'll get there. But I never make a judgment like that in the first season. So no pressure from me. But the knives will be out. There will be people writing these articles. There will be people calling him a flop. There will be people trying to put the pressure on Liverpool. And it doesn't help when Steve Nicol is one of them. It really doesn't. You know, a former Liverpool player should really be just shutting up for a while and letting the lads settle in. Corbin said, Craig, is it mad to you that there's 1.5 thousand individuals watching talk about Liverpool? Imagine that many people in a room. This is a quiet night, so no, not mad there's 1,500. Look, to me it's mad that there's anyone. 1 person, 5 people, 5,000 people. I don't actually think that they're here to listen to me talk about football, to be honest. I think that they're here for the interaction with each other and for the kinship and the friendship. So that's genuinely why I think people are here. Because there's not much to talk about tonight. You know, I'm not breaking any outstanding Liverpool news. People are coming in to have a chat with each other, have a bit of fun and relax. And I'm very, very grateful and appreciative for that. Fred, lovely to see you in, my friend. Always a pleasure. Said, hey Craig, hope you're good. Some people are saying Trent fears coming back to Anfield for the games. The reason why he got injured. Sad, but giving it a second thought though. I don't really. I honestly can't say I give Trent much thought, in a good or a bad way. Like I certainly have no hateful thoughts towards him, nor do I have any reason to give a shit what he's doing. I think the fairest way I can say of Fred is, I'll never understand the move, and I'll never agree with the move, and I'll never be happy he made the move. But it's his career, and I'm certainly not going to have any hate towards the fella. I never expected him to play that game against Liverpool, though, when the draw was made. And I'm not saying he's feigning injury again. I wouldn't accuse somebody of that. But I always thought that would be a game where he wouldn't be played. Bobby said, off topic, got Corsa as a first. What do you drive? At the moment, I drive a Renault Rafale. A really, really, really nice one. It's it's a top spec, gorgeous blue, lovely. But my first car was a Rover 213 with a Honda Civic engine and gearbox. It was a 1.5, an 1989 one. I'll never forget it. I convinced myself in my head it was a Civic because my dad wouldn't get me a Civic, and it was a 1.5 Rover 213i. So yeah, that was my first. It's a quiet night. I'm a regular, as you know. Oh, I know it's a quiet night, dude. I was just trying to flesh out an answer for you. I never think people are here for me, mate. I think people are here for sometimes the news, of course, and interactions with each other, because this is an online family. That's the way I view it. Because I come on for a chat with everyone. You know, even on nights like tonight where there isn't really groundbreaking, earth-shattering news, I just want to come on and have a chat with you all and have a pop at United where possible, of course, and a few cheap shots there and just enjoy myself, which I always do with you guys. Darwizzy said, got a feeling Dortmund might be underdogs in the Champions League. I don't know. I don't know much about this iteration of Dortmund. I was looking at their team at half time in that game and seeing the list of players they had injured, and they've a fair few injured. I think there was 5 or 6 of the players out, but they're always a good team. They're always a decent team, and it's never an easy game against Dortmund. Whether they can go deep in the tournament, I guess time will tell. But the more I'm getting used to this new Champions League, the more I think I prefer it to the old one, because there really does feel like there's more on it, on each and every game, because you can't control everything. Like in the old ones, you could control your group and you knew what was happening. But because of the amount of differences of goals and stuff like that and the variation of games across it, I think I prefer this version to the old one. Obviously, last year didn't go great for us. We finished top of the league format and then got knocked out in the next round. But I'm enjoying it. And I think the games are more open and I think we're seeing more goals. The legend said, "Gotta say, I love Mosquera. 13 mil was a steal. He looked solid today, mate. He did. I messaged Lee Gunner after the game to say congrats on the win, because it's a good win. There's no denying that. You guys looked solid over there today. Didn't give Athletic Club Bilbao much by way of chances. Yeah, it was a good, accomplished European away performance, and I don't think that the 2-0 scoreline flattered Arsenal at all. I think they deserve to win." Did I see the FBI director wearing an LFC tie today? I didn't, but I somebody told me about it. Yeah, look, we tried to keep politics out of the streams, but I was made aware of it, but I haven't seen Kash Patel wearing the tie, no. Madrid have another penalty. My God. Every time, every game, they seem to get penalties. And I'm not even trying to wind up on that. Every goddamn time those lads play, they seem to get a penalty. In my mind, anyway. So, have we been watching that game? If so, what do you guys think of Marseille? Because I think they look quite good from what I'd seen anyway. Right, so we asked, is Dom now a £100 million player? We've had 1,000 votes and 84% say yes. You do think Dominic Szoboszlai is now a £100 million player. Back in what Arna said, I agree. ISAK going to score tomorrow, said Paul White. Did you see Opta had Liverpool favourite and even a better Arsenal second? Yeah, I have the stat here for you, mate. 1 sec. Where are we? All the way back to the start of the day. Where was that stat? Where was it? I had the stat earlier on. Or maybe it was yesterday we talked about it, was it? Let me go back. Maybe it was yesterday. Where the hell is it? I swear I had this stat. I know we were like, Arsenal were about 20%. We were higher than... I haven't got it to hand at the minute, but I swear I had that stat. Oh, there. No, that's not it. No, I don't know. I did see it, mate, yeah. But sorry, I don't have it to hand. Kieran said, well done, Arsenal. Pressure on tomorrow, but I'm with you. I'm excited. I don't know if the pressure's on. You know, it's more excitement, Kieran. It's Champions League back at Anfield and new season, new expectation, new people to hero worship, and hopefully a few new incredible moments as well. But, oh, it's Europe, so every game's important. Arsenal, like I said, I thought it was a good away performance from them in Europe today, and fair play. But for us, it'd be nice to kick off with a win, wouldn't it? And Atletico Madrid are no mugs, we know that, but I think they're there for us if we play, Kieran. If we play well, I think we win. I mean, that's the level of punditry you come here for, right? If we play well, I think we'll win. I mean, you know what I mean? If that isn't the quote up there with "I had a dream," Martin Luther King soon. If we play well, we'll win. That could be Michael Owen. That's the level of punditry we're getting. Are you doing a watch along tomorrow? I am. Yeah, I am. We starting from 6:45 for tomorrow. Spurs still 1-0, are they? My God. I was watching that game, and I tell you what, they're a hard watch. They went 1-0 up with was an own goal after 4 minutes or something. But apart from that, they just looked rigid, that Spurs team. I don't think... look, I guess it's a big change from Ange Postecoglou's wide open Spurs team, but I was expecting a bit more from them. A bit more of a swagger with the type of players they brought in. Simons, Maho Kudus, Richarlison there as well. They've seemed very boring for a Spurs team. You could rival Merson with that level of analysis. I'm telling you, Sky should be signing me up right now with that level of amazing punditry. If we play well, we'll win. We'll win. God Madrid or Jammy, I don't think that was a pen. Well, I haven't seen it, dude, but I'll take your word for it. And yeah, look, they're always getting a penalty or two. Now, look, I seen the first penalty when Rodrigo was fouled, and there was no complaints about that. It was 100% a penalty. Ken said, Craig, where do you stand that Michael Owen say was one of the best ever young players from 17 to 21? Yeah, I think that's fair. He absolutely was. Michael Owen was a phenomenon at that age. Just think back to the goal he scored for England against Argentina in the World Cup as well. The FA Cup final against Arsenal that we had no right to win. And Michael Owen scored 2 goals for us, if my memory's right. It was phenomenal. At 17 to 21, Michael Owen was right up there with any other player coming through in world football, or one of the most exciting young players. I think he's more than fair with that comment, and I don't agree with Michael Owen on a lot of things, but he was deserving of that. Right. Thank you, Mark, for that stat. Right, there we go. So, Liverpool have a 20.6% chance, according to Opta, to win the Champions League. Arsenal 15.9%. They reckon Liverpool have a nearly 34% chance to get to the final. Semi-finals are giving us at least 50% chance of getting there. And quarter-finals, Liverpool are at 71. The one I found interesting, though, was Real Madrid. They gave Real Madrid just a 5.8% chance of winning the Champions League, which for a club that have won it, 15, 16 times, that's quite low, 5.8%. They gave them less of a chance than Chelsea. They have Chelsea at 7.2% chance, Manchester City 8.7%, Barcelona 8.8%, Paris Saint-Germain, the defending champions, 12%. So yeah, look, it's great seeing us as favourites in anything, but we got to go and earn the right to be spoken about in that way. I see Harvey Elliott scored for Villa. He did, their first one, and delighted for him. Delighted for him. I hope it works out well. Chelsea far too high. Yeah, I don't understand that. Look, they won the Club World Cup, fair play, and deserve to win it. We're a far better team in the final as well. But yeah, I don't see it. I don't have any fear of Chelsea in either the Premier League or the Champions League this season. In 2 years' time, maybe. But they've a lot of knitting together to do first. The Opta supercomputer didn't process the penalty variable for Real Madrid. Good point, Johnny. Good point, mate. So, there was a report or a post earlier on from Alex Miller, who I think used to be part of TalkSport or something like that. And he said Liverpool's 10-year deal with Adidas Football is worth a rumoured £1 billion. 100 million quid a year, wouldn't say no. That's eye-watering numbers, though, when you think about it, isn't it? For like what is involved in football these days. So, Verge has been speaking about ISAK and his impressions of him, and he said, very good, very eager. The quality has been shown already. Only positives. Off the pitch, we have conversations. I've spoken to him in the international break, and everything was sorted. It's about getting as fit as possible, as quick as possible, and understanding how we train, how we press, set pieces. It's been a good week for him. Let's see about tomorrow. And on top of that, we also have him speaking about ISAK and Ekitike, and our captain said this: he's a clinical finisher, heading left, right, top corners. He's the complete striker at the moment. You can say the same for Hugo. They're a little bit different, but not as much. They both have so much quality and very comfortable on the ball, can link up players and have pace. That's what's been asked of the modern day striker. Both are a handful. Good, they are on my side. Hopefully they can show that to the opponent. Stargirl said, if you had the money to make a movie about a player, event, and manager, what would it be about? Oh, wow. Right. If I had the money to make a player, event, manager, what would it be about? Honestly, I'm probably coming back to Diego Maradona again, and more about his life story, more in and around that hand of God moment against England, more about his time at Napoli, because I've watched a few documentaries about that, and it was incredibly entertaining. So probably something about Maradona again. I'd love to be able to research more time on him and learn a little bit more about some of the intricacies of his career, because he had some colourful moments at Napoli as well. DC Oski, thank you, mate. Appreciate you. So Carvajal sent off as well for Madrid, so he could well miss the game against Liverpool. 4-4 in the Dortmund match. That is crazy. Benfica lost 3-2. What? They were 2-0 up after a few minutes. Wow. And we have Karabag to play. So yeah, keep an eye on that one as well. That is crazy. How did they lose 3-2? They were 2-0 up. That's mental. Am I doing Champions League fantasy football? No, I'm not. I've bad enough being shit at normal fantasy football without throwing in the Champions League one. I just don't have the time to keep an eye on it either. What games do you think will be on Prime for Liverpool? I'm not sure. I'm sure it may have been announced already or not. I really don't know. Because they're not on Prime for me here in Ireland. We end up watching them on Premier Sport. Kate said, Stevie, how has Flip cost Liverpool the league? See, I don't think that did cost Liverpool the league, Kate. I think Brendan Rodgers cost Liverpool the league. Because we didn't have to go to try and win that game against Chelsea, but he pushed to try and win it. A point there would have kept us still in command of everything. So that was unfortunate, but I don't think that's why we didn't win the league. I think the fact that Rodgers went out to try to win that game and push on it is why we didn't win the league. And there's no way I'd want to make something about that where I'd have to research it and live through it all again. I'd have a massive pass on that one. The Galatasaray game, Luke said, is on Prime. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate that. Dave Smith said, yep, only needed a draw against Chelsea. That's what was so heartbreaking about it. It was almost like Mourinho baited us into it. And we couldn't help but push and push and push for the winner on that one. That's where a little bit of experience would have come in handy. The legend said, both big games next. Everton for you, City for us. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the Merseyside derby for us. Again, if we show up, we should win. But I'm definitely going to be interested to see what goes on in your game against Manchester City, because it's interesting for me for a few reasons. If one of you wins the game, like let's say if Arsenal beat City, City are out of the title race. And I know that sounds mad early, but they've lost 3 games at that point. No way they're making up 9 points potentially that quickly, because they're going to drop more. But if Arsenal lose the game, then again, it gives us a 6-point gap if we win over Arsenal. So it's a really, really, really interesting and really big game this early in the season that I think has long-term knock-on impacts on it. Like if City beat Arsenal, the pressure on Arteta is going to ratchet up even more, because then the league title is getting further and further away. And I'd seen Stan Collymore said that if Arteta doesn't win a big trophy this year, he should be sacked. And he's right. I've said this for a while. I don't know Any manager at a top club who can go 5 years without a trophy and not be under pressure, except Mikel Arteta. He has to be under pressure. He spent a lot of money. He's developed a good squad. And if he doesn't win a Premier League or a Champions League soon, if Arsenal really think that they're a big club, they're going to have to act on it because, what are they going to do? Keep finishing second? Are we going back into the Arsene Wenger era where qualification for the Champions League was enough? Summerpool said a draw would be nice. I think I'd still prefer City to win because if City win, 6 point gap if we win our game. If Arsenal win, we still have 3 over them, but 9 over City. So either way, one team winning would be delicious. But I get what you're saying about a draw as well. I'd rather a definitive result one way or the other because, like I said, if City lose, that's them gone. Title race over for them, 5 games in. And I know we'll get the usual stuff where people go, oh, you can't rule them out. Yeah, you can. Same way you could last year because they're not the old Manchester City and they're not going to go and win the next 33 games in a row. So if City lose, bye-bye league for them this year, and it's a 2-horse race, I think, then between us and Arsenal. If Arsenal lose, it gives us a bit more breathing room. Would you start Robbo or Kirkes for Everton? So this was a bit of a talking point when I was doing my preview. Myself and Connor were chatting about that very thing, Suleiman. And in an ideal world, I'd start Andy Robertson in both of them. But I don't know whether Andy Robertson will be able to do 290s. So, yeah, I just think this week, with the week that's in it, it could be such a big week. I would probably go with Robbo for the 2 of them, if possible. And on that, actually, what we're talking about, Robbo, let's go back to this from earlier on. Peter O'Rourke said that Arne Slot is now set to rotate Milos Kerkez with Andy Robertson more regularly this season. And that should be expected, in my opinion. Like, we signed Milos Kerkez, great signing, but he's still young. He's going to have moments and times where he makes mistakes. Any fullback at 21 would. So I love the idea that Andy Robertson's still at the club because there's no better person for him to learn from than Robbo. Been there, done it, vice captain, super experienced, but also competitive. And he wants the shirt. Robbo wants to be playing every week. So I think this is a great scenario for us. And unlike the Konate situation, I know what Andy Robertson wants. I know Robbo signed a new contract tomorrow if Liverpool put it down in front of him and the terms are right. So I've no qualms about Robbo's deal because we know what we're going to get from Andy Robertson. And we know that Robbo would want to stay. He had the chance in the summer to move away. Said he spoke about it with his family. And he still wants to be with Liverpool. And his heart's with Liverpool. So it's a good situation. And this is why we have 2 good left backs. So if one is in a sticky moment, let Robbo play. If Robbo then needs a breather, well, reintroduce Milos back in. And slowly but surely, he'll get up to speed with how Arne wants him to play. Maybe a little bit less. You don't want to stop the competitive nature of Milos Kerkez because that's one of his good attributes. But he does tend to rush in on a few occasions and just honing those skills a little bit. And I think it'll be a good thing. And the more he works with Andy Robertson, I think the better he'll get. Andrew, James said, had a cheeky bet on Karabag and Marseille. Wow. That's an interesting one. I don't know what to expect with Karabag because we're playing them and they went over to Lisbon tonight and beat Benfica, which is a huge result. Marseille, though, Andrew, I was impressed by them in the 20-25 minutes I watched them this evening. I thought that they looked sharp, they looked aggressive, and at their gaff, I don't think that's going to be an easy game for us at all. We need to use Keens in the overlap more. It confused me on that one, Jeremy. Kirkes, there you go. It's interesting because when I was watching Frimpong and Bradley on the right side play the fullback position, Frimpong tended to go around the outside more, and Bradley tended to run in the half space more and the inside channel. I wonder why that is. Because, again, they're both fullbacks, but maybe I'm just imagining this, but my recollection was we'd seen more around the outside from Frimpong and more, underlapping or half space runs from Conor Bradley. And I put it down to initially thinking that Bradley is more used to the way Arne wants to play in the system. And obviously, as a wing back, Frimpong in his previous iteration at Leverkusen, maybe he was just more used to going around the outside and he was still working through what Arne wants. Fred said about Flo, he's a very good player, but I feel he lacks confidence. He needs more playing time because things will get harder. That's the problem. Well, that and he's now in the big boy league. Respect to Leverkusen and all, but he's at Liverpool Football Club now. And he's playing in the Premier League. And he's playing with a big price tag on his shoulders. And he's playing alongside world-class players in and around him week in and week out. So it speaks a lot to the character of him, Florian Wirtz, that he was willing to come to Liverpool. Because it would have been easy for him to stay and go to Bayern Munich. That would have been an easy move. Would have kept his place all the time in the national team. Media would have been much more friendly to him. But he backed himself. And that strength of character to me is why I absolutely believe that Florian Wirtz will be a superstar. And I don't think he's too far off. I've seen improvements every time I miss them. Every time I've seen them. But I don't know about others. But to me, I'm seeing them game by game, bit by bit. Joseph said, now Slot has his squad showing that ruthlessness. Any top manager has to. He has to, Joseph. And he was right to take Kirkes off because he was rash and he was probably one challenge away from maybe a second yellow and getting sent off. So it was the right decision, and I'm sure that Kirkes will learn from it. But what I loved, Joseph, was that he did stop him coming off the pitch and have that little word with him just to say to him, look, this is why we were being taken off. It wasn't done to belittle him or make a show of him. It was done with the team in mind, and that's the right way to make these decisions. Mate, we're second in the Champions League table. I sent this into the Discord earlier on. I think even after 2 games played, you were second or after the first 2 games tonight, PSV losing 3-1 against Union Saint-Gilloise. I was thinking, Arsenal second in the Champions League group. There, get used to that, mate. That's the position. Lewis said, in the first 2 games he wasn't as involved, but against Arsenal and Burnley he's shown his qualities and was more involved. Yeah, I agree. And look, it was difficult against Burnley because to some extent I got what Steve Nicol was trying to say, which was Wirtz was brought in to help break down the low block, which I get, but he can't do it on his own and he is still getting used to the league. But like you said, my friend, there's definitely been improvements. Arsenal, it was better and that was a high level match. But against Burnley, I love the positions he was taking up. I thought he was getting into great areas and I've seen improvements there, which is why I'm so optimistic that we're going to get a big performance tomorrow from the team and from Florian Wirtz. Milo, I am discussing that in the late night video, dude. So I've got a couple of centre-back stories that I'm waiting for the late night video, and I'm going to go through them then. So make sure you check back in and we will be discussing that topic, sir. Hi mate, how are you? Just with Real Madrid, have I missed anything? Not really, Adam. No, I hope you're having a good night, mate. No, we're just chatting. I love these streams, by the way. We're just having a bit of fun, having a chat, and you guys are keeping me up to date with what's going on in the Champions League games as well. Right, I need your help, ladies and gents. If you can, hit that like button for me. Let's get those likes up. See if we can't get towards 1,000. And I got to keep reminding people about this because we're only a month and a bit away now. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, Now's the time. If you want to come and see us for the last ever stage show, we are going to be in Liverpool at the Hot Water Comedy Club the 19th of October. Tickets are priced at just £15. It's an all ages event, and all the money from our side of the ticket sales will be going to the fund for Joe's wheelchair basketball chair. And I can't wait. Last ever show. I will be delighted to never have to worry about doing the stage show again, as much as I love meeting everybody after them. Nice chill night, not like the stressful window. Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know, part of you thinks, uh-oh, the streams are quiet. Has everybody forgotten about us? But then another part of me thinks, I love chatting with people. And these nights I get to interact a lot more with people whose comments I may miss a lot of the time as well. So there's always an upside to it. And quieter nights like tonight, we get to know each other a little bit better. One player's okay. So the super chat from earlier on was supposed to be if you had to choose 11 clones of the same player, which includes a keeper, who would you choose? Is this of current players? I'm going to give you the answer of current players. If I had to choose 11 clones of any one player that's currently at the club, who would I choose? It's got to be Salah. It's got to be Salah. And for a few reasons. One, he's bulletproof. So he's always injury-free, always in great shape. So yeah, I'm going to go with Mohamed Salah. Then Alisson, Virgil. But yeah, I'm going to say Mo, because he doesn't miss games. He's bulletproof, injury-proof pretty much. So I'll go with the great man. Colin. Thank you, dude, for your super chat. Appreciate you. Said, who would you replace for Mo when he's away? Chiesa. Chiesa, or I would give Rio a try on the right. Because we're almost programmed, Colin, to think it has to be a left footer, right? Or something like that. Well, I say that, we're probably going to speak about Frimpong being an option. But I'd say Rio. Because at that point, Rio would have got enough minutes into the season, more time working with Arna. And why not? Put Gakpo on the left, Rio on the right, ISAK through the middle, or heck, you could mix it up and put Gakpo on the right, Ekitike on the left, ISAK through the middle. But yeah, off the top of my head, I don't like the idea of trying to shoehorn in Frimpong, because he'll have the pace and the trickery, but he probably won't have the goal scoring ability or prowess of a Mo. So I'd say stick with somebody from the front line, and whether that's Chiesa, whether that's Rio, any of them. Kieran said, I'm loving watching Flo. He will be fine in time. I'm fascinated watching him as well, Kieran. I love watching him find pockets of space. And sometimes I'm screaming to others to watch his runs and find those pockets of space. But he'll get there. He'll get there. You can see a great player. You know, his mind's taking over all the time. And the greats are always half a second ahead of everybody else. And I think I've no concerns long term about Florian Wirtz either. Craig, are you really going to put a copy of Salah at centre-back? Yeah. You know, it's a weird question, and there's no answer to it that's a foolproof one. Because you could say the same about Verge. Am I going to have Verge on the left or right wing? You know, nobody's going to be able to play every position, but for sturdiness, robustness, pace, physical strength, I'd stick with Mo. How many minutes will ISAK play tomorrow? Said Paul White. I would say 25. 25 to 30 is my guess. So somewhere in around the 60 to 65 minute mark is where I think we'll see that substitution. But I've already got chills down my spine, Paul, thinking about it. I don't remember being as excited for a debut in a while in a Liverpool shirt. Because with everybody else, we got to see some of them. We got to see Ekitike pre-season. We got to see Wirtz in pre-season. We didn't even really get to enjoy the signing of ISAK before he was off on international duty. And all the media coverage of it was all ISAK forced his way out, poor Newcastle, blah, blah, blah. This is our time now to enjoy him, to see why the club spent the money they did on him, to show the world that Liverpool are a legit force now with a deep squad, and I'm so excited for tomorrow. I don't even know if I'll be able to sleep. I'll be that excited for this game. Jim, I don't know where you're going. You said, Craig, I respect you, but I don't respect you for not looking into St. John Little, Keegan, Toshak, Beardsley, and so on. So listen to what I said again, mate, and then you can apologise to me, Jim. Because if you actually listen to what I said about the players, I said, I'm going to pick one that's playing right now. So, if you respected me, dude, you would have listened to what I'd said. So rather than having a dig at me, listen. Because I said, and I say the same thing, by the way, all the time. I never talk about players like that I haven't seen play. And I haven't seen Ian St. John play. I haven't seen most of the players on that list play because they were before my time. So again, I have a real gripe lately about people putting words in my mouth. I didn't say what you think I said, which is just glossing over and ignoring all those players. I said I'm going to pick somebody from my time and somebody that's here now. Itachi said, I can't believe ISAK makes his debut tomorrow. Still so unreal, my friend. Can't wait for him to do his goal celebration for us. We got him. Yep, I'm buzzing, mate, and Connor's buzzing, and it still doesn't feel real, like I keep saying. Even seeing him in a training kit out there at the AXA, it's still taking some getting used to. Richie said, Craig, off topic, but see the shambolic penalty Madrid got tonight. Game's gone up the Reds. I didn't see the second one, Richie. I'd only seen the first one, which was a penalty, to be fair, the Rodrigo one. But no, the second one I haven't seen. So I'll take your word for it. But, would I be surprised to hear Madrid got a soft penalty? No. And thank you, Richie. The legend said, love to see Grimsby doing well. Did they get through tonight? I know they were Sheffield Wednesday and it was 0-0 the last I'd seen, but, it'd be nice for the conquerors of Manchester United to go through another round. I actually forgot about that. Of all the slandering of United we've had this season, I actually forgot that they'd been beaten by Grimsby. That's a new low for that United team. To be beaten by Grimsby and knocked out of one of the very few competitions they actually had a chance in, because they're not winning the league, they're not in Europe, and now they've another competition gone into the FA Cup or nothing. Glorious. Glorious. Joseph said, Craig, name one player you would have loved to have played for Liverpool in their prime. Oh, easy. I'm going to stick to two that did play in the Premier League. Thierry Henry and David Silva. I've said this many times on stream. They're two players I used to daydream about wearing a Liverpool shirt. Incredible players. But you could go on for ages here, couldn't you? Like you said, Luka Modric. You could talk about Pirlo, Maldini. Like, you could go on and on and on. But those two from the Premier League I've always thought would have been incredible. Especially David Silva. Which is why I'm probably so excited about Florian Wirtz. Because I feel like we finally have our David Silva or our Coutinho, but multiplied by that. Our Coutinho. We had Coutinho, but you get what I mean. We're going to have a prolonged period now of that guy, that superstar who can just drift into pockets of space and make things happen. Do you have a favourite Liverpool kit of all time? I do. I think it's the 87-88 one, which was the red home shirt that had crown paints but then became candy. I tried to wear my Liverpool shirt tonight for the stream and I couldn't do it because my man boobs just made me too self-conscious again. It's so horrible. You're wearing a shirt and then boobs come out the side of it and the shirt comes out. And I hate it because I love the shirt so much, but I can't look at myself in it. So just before the stream, which is why I was 2 minutes late, I swapped tops because, I don't know, I'm just so self-conscious about it. But I hate it because I love the jersey. Am I doing the news update? Indeed, I am, Adam. We're going to go a few minutes later tonight because we started the stream 15 minutes later, so we'll go a little bit later. But yeah, we'll be doing the news update video. We're going to be talking centre backs really in the video. Darwizi said I would have loved Royce and David Villa at Liverpool. Yeah, David Villa was another one. There was a few of those. Pablo Aimar, from his time at Valencia as well, was another one I loved. Christina said there was a report today that Mo said struggled into jail with Ekitike in as much as we knew where Diaz and Nunes were. They need time to work it out. Absolutely. And he's not wrong. You know, I that's why I've said I'm not worried about Mo's form because there is still a lot of details being worked out and he has to get used to the movements and the runs of players in and around them, whereas he would have known where Diaz goes or where Darwin went. He's still getting used to Ugo Ekitike and obviously the new players. So, yeah, it's a good point he's made and I agree with him. Yulida Amanzier. Oh, I know that episode of Seinfeld. No lie, Eli. I'm a Seinfeld geek, mate. I know exactly the episode you're on about. But yeah, it's just this. Look, nobody. To be fair, nobody's ever said anything to me about it. You know, nobody in the comments has been mean about it or anything like that. It's just my own self-conscious thing. Because even when I lost the weight, the man boobs were still there, and they're side on. So when your top goes down, it comes out here and goes back down. And it just, lads, it makes me feel so self-conscious. But that's my hang-up, not yours. Because I got to say, of all the things I've been trolled on, that wasn't one of them. To be fair, nobody's ever been mean to me about that. And I do appreciate it. Pogba would have done well under Klopp. Oh, no, not for me. I hate Paul Pogba. I do. I don't like anything about Pogba. Wouldn't want him at Liverpool. But I was always fascinated with the difference of the Paul Pogba that under Allegri at Juventus versus a lot of the other Paul Pogbas in club football. Did I get any of the long sleeves this season? I didn't. I'm waiting for... I ordered the long sleeve green one for my son. And that's due to come on Thursday, I think. I got my goalkeeper shirt today. I haven't tried it on yet, but the black goalkeeper shirt arrived today. So the plan is I'm hopefully going to wear the black goalkeeper shirt tomorrow because that hides the... Black hides the man boobs a bit better than red or green or anything like that. So I'm going to try wear the black jersey tomorrow. Lee said, try a tight vest under the shirt. Yeah, some people have sent me links as well to like pressure tops and stuff like that, and it's probably a fair shout. Yeah, I had an appointment with a surgeon coming up to see if there's anything I could get done about it because it's the only thing. Like, I don't mind having a fat belly or whatever, but that just makes me really self-conscious because even when I was 12 stone, they were still there, and yeah. But anyway. Apologies, let's keep cracking on. Joseph said, imagine if we had Rodri at times under Klopp, not to discredit Fabinho, but imagine it. I often thought as well about, imagine we had a little bit of Javier Mascherano again with Klopp. I loved Mascherano as a midfielder. Lewis said, hi Craig, I'm 18 stone, 6'2", but I'm proud of myself because I was 18, 19 years old, I was 22 stone. I'm happy and progression. I'm 24 now. Well done to you, Lewis. And look, you should be proud of yourself, mate, and you should be loving yourself. Absolutely. I just haven't in the headspace personally where I am with myself, mate. But certainly delighted to hear that you're going in the right direction and keep going. Proud of you. Michael said, when do you think Rio will get a start? Next Tuesday against Southampton would be my guess. It just feels like the right game, doesn't it, to give him a start? You know, him, Giovanni, Leone, maybe even Train Leone as well. Looking forward to maybe seeing him get the start. It'll be an interesting team selection for Arna next week in that game because, you know, Southampton are decent enough side, but we are at home and it is a game where you want to give these guys minutes. So I'd expect to see Mamardashvili, Leone, Neone, Rio Engamoa, It'll be an interesting one to see if he uses it as a game maybe to give a few more minutes to ISAK, or if he wants to rest them in between that game and the Crystal Palace game. I'm trying to think of other players we might have available, younger players for that one. Dan's, will he get some minutes? Bajcetic, yep, good shout on Bajcetic as well. Be nice to see Stefan get some minutes as well. Can Chiesa still get in the Champions League after the group stage? Yes. So there's two, I guess, windows to submit your squads. This is for the league format, like you've said, but then the club will have to put in another squad list afterwards. Now, ironically, if we had have got Mark Gay, it would have freed up a space that we could have put Chiesa in the Champions League squad. So yeah, there's every possibility that he could go into the latter stages of it if and when we qualify. Did you see the right back debacle at Madrid? So I'd seen that Trent had an injury in the first few minutes, and then Carvajal got himself sent off. Look, I don't see any reason to fear that Madrid team. I really, really don't. I've watched them a handful of times, and they still look unconvincing. And fuck them. I just don't have much time for Madrid. So, how much is a stone? £14. I don't know in kilos, but £14. Do you think Trent will be another Hazard? In what sense? In going to Madrid and flopping? I really don't know. Look, Trent's a good footballer. I don't think any of us are going to sit here and deny that. But it was his choice to go and put himself under the microscope over in Madrid. Going in when a club legend in Carvajal is coming back as well. It was a brave, bold move for him, but I don't think he'll be a success there. And I don't say that out of spite or anything. I don't think he'll be a success there. I just don't. I think Liverpool was the right place for him. The right place for the style of football he is, the right place for the support he'll get from the fans, just the right place for his career. And nothing will ever change my mind on that one. But like I said, it is his career and his decisions to make. Blam said, Craig, if you get 5 kilogram weight and just do hugging action, it'll tone up. Appreciate you, man. Look, I appreciate all the support, kind words, and comments and suggestions tonight, and I don't take any of them to heart because I know they're all coming from a lovely place. But yeah, like I said, I dropped £103, went down to 12 stone 3, and still had the same issue of the man boob. So it is just it's my genetic cross to bear. Aaron said, I think it's under-discussed how well this team is built now and for the future, ready to win now, and so much young talent. So I was thinking about this the other day, mate, and you're right. We were talking about 2 years down the line and the whole Elise Salah conversation, and it just kind of got me thinking about where everybody would be in 2 years. So let's say we do sign Elise and Mark Gay comes in. So in 2 years' time, when Salah's contract would be up at Liverpool, if he was to move on, we would have a 19-year-old Rio Engamoa, a 27-year-old Isak, a 25-year-old Ekatike, a 21-year-old or 22-year-old Neone, or no, actually he'd be younger than that, wouldn't he? Neone, he'd be like 20. We'd have a 20-year-old Leone. We'd have Jayden Danns. We'd have Mark Gay, who'd be 26 at that point. Milos Kerkez would be 23 at that point. Mamardashvili would be 26, 27. The age profile of the team is great, and a couple of years down the line, it feels like we are future-proofing. Did you see the Cowboys-Giants game on Sunday? I did. I had a Red Zone on, and I was watching them. It was nuts. I actually couldn't believe that the Cowboys managed to get the win. Actually, to be 100% honest with you, remember I said to you I changed before the stream started. I was sitting here, and first of all I put on my Liverpool shirt and changed it, Then I put on the Nebraska Cornhuskers jersey that Chad very kindly sent to me. Chad, if you're watching, love it, mate, and thank you. But again, I just felt really self-conscious about it, so I had to change it. But that's why I was late starting the stream. I had a Cornhuskers jersey on. Florian Wirtz, enjoyer, said, I'm a Bears fan, Craig. We're poverty. Well, I'm a Packers fan, so we own your ass. Jokes. But yeah, even I know, mate, that the Bears are had gone through a very tough period, and I'm only in NFL 3-4 years now watching it. Bet Guru said, man, I hate Madrid. I'm with you, mate. No take on our old team, but I feel very confident against Real Madrid, regardless of Mbappe. We've got ISAK, Ekitike, forget Jude, we've got Flo, forget Vinny, we have Salah. Yeah, I'm expecting us to win that game as well, mate. And I think we're going to go into that game favourites, and deservedly so. We all do it with Craig. You should start Anfield Agenda FC. I thought about it for a while. We thought about forming an E team and having an Anfield Agenda FC E team, but then I realised that I don't know enough about gaming. Jeremy said, living in Chicago almost 15 years and the Bears have not been good once. Ouch. Yeah, look, I'm really loving to get to know the intricacies of the NFL as well. It's interesting. I really enjoy it because it gives me something to do late at night as well when the games are on. Lewis said, I don't watch the NFL, but I guess I'd be a Detroit Lions fan since I'm an M&M stan. Well, it'd be a good show because they're pretty good, the Lions. Dan Campbell, again, my limited understanding and knowledge of the NFL, did a great job last year and they're in a good place. So you'd be happy right now if you were a Lions fan. Aaron said, as a Packers fan, the cliche response is the Bears still suck. I used to love Aaron Rodgers winding them up. I'm a Cheesehead fan myself, said SG. Nice. It was Aaron Rodgers that made me want to watch the NFL. I know he's a controversial figure in that, but I loved watching him play. I just loved how he moved the game, kept it going. I loved his intelligence. I loved him reading. I just liked watching him. So he was the one that got me to watch it. And then when I learned more about the NFL and I learned more about the Packers and their fan base, and I started to see a lot of similarities with Liverpool. Obviously, working class people, but a historic club who know their sport and are great fans. So, yeah, it was. And then Jordan Love came along, and I just thought, well, what a man to follow in the footsteps of Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, just enjoy it. Really enjoy it. Jonathan said, Las Vegas Raiders fan here. What a stadium, by the way, mate. That new stadium, it's gorgeous. Aaron said, as a Green Bay native, I feel a real kinship with Liverpool. Good to hear it, man. Good to hear it. Any American MLS team you support? Yeah, it'll always be Atlanta. Always be Atlanta. For a couple of reasons. One, when we were going to Florida on holidays, we always went through Atlanta Airport. And that's where I got my first MLS jersey, in the airport in Atlanta. So, yeah, Atlanta for me. And also, I love the Mercedes-Benz Arena. I think it's incredible. So, and Joseph Martinez, when he was there at that time, Miggy Almiron, that particular team was really fun to watch for Atlanta. So, yeah, them. Billy said, I've been to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta when I visited. It's such an amazing stadium. Yep. I always used to take a photo of it when we were landing in Atlanta for a changeover to go to Orlando. Because you could see the logo on the top of the stadium when you're flying in. You used to be able to get a photo of it. Josh Dodak, thank you, dude, for gifting 5 memberships. Really kind of you, mate. So I'm a bit of a weird geek of stadiums. Like, any city we go to, I always want to try and visit a stadium. I love the architecture of them. I love how imposing they are. And I just think they're fascinating things just to go and look at. Callum said, "Been a Packers fan for ages. The reason it was Clay Matthews' absolute unit. Loved them." Jeremy said, "I love stadiums too." Yeah, they're just fascinating. I love them. Like, I went to Spurs Stadium on a couple of occasions. I went to see AJ fight ISAK there, and I went to see a League Cup game against Middlesbrough there for Spurs when I was over in London on a work trip. And it's an incredible stadium. Really incredible. The one that disappointed me was the new camp. Now, I know it's been redone, but that was a dump when I went there. Really underwhelming stadium. Baltimore Ravens for me. Been watching since 2000. Nice, Scouse Mike. Yeah, Lamar Jackson is absolutely incredible, isn't he? SoFi Stadium is lovely. LFC Drew, it is. That's in Compton as well, right? It's a beautiful stadium, the SoFi. Wasn't that built by Kroenke? I think he privately funded that stadium build, if I'm not mistaken. Talking about stadiums, have you seen the project for the World Cup 2032 in Saudi? Unreal. There's one thing when we talk about Saudi and events that I can't get away from. And I feel shitty saying it because, they're trying to make it a destination for sport, and, they've got huge boxing events over there. But you just can't replicate the crowds in the UK or in America. And every time I watch an event, and I don't know, maybe people can tell me if it's the same in other sports, but I only really watch boxing for the stuff in Saudi, and it's just dead. There's no atmospheres in any of the fights. It's just sterile and meh. Whereas when I go to boxing events, I was at Mick Conlan's fight last week. As I said, I was over in the UK a few times for a Josh Warrington fight, for AJ fight, I was up in Belfast again for Carl Frampton fights. It's just incredible. Like, it's something you can't describe till you're at it. A boxing event in a big show, it's just really, really special. And over in Saudi, it's just meh. It just doesn't feel. It doesn't feel like the fighters are getting the fair support that they should get. Billy said, "I agree, you can't buy passion and love." And again, it's no disrespect, because the Saudi people look like they're having a good time. They're trying to grow sport in that country. And, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but I can't get away from the fact that the boxing events there just are nowhere near as exciting or as atmospheric, it's probably the word, as they are in the UK or in the States. Baseball stadiums are far more beautiful, in my opinion. They're so unique. Fenway in Boston, Oracle Park in San Fran, Wrigley Field. That is one sport I just think is the most dull, boring sport in the world. I don't know how anyone watches it. I've tried. Oh my God, I've tried to get into watching baseball. It's hard work. I don't know how anyone does it. It's really, really not a sport I can get behind. Tony said the best boxing arena at Madison Square Garden. That's the mecca of boxing. No denying that, mate. Madison Square Garden is where I grew up looking at the huge fights, But I will say, I'm biased on this, but I don't think you'd get any better boxing events than Dublin or Belfast. And I am biased on it, but I tell you what, come to a boxing show in Dublin or Belfast and enjoy yourself. If you get the chance, do come over. It's brilliant. What's this? Cody Gakpo's cousin, Ben Spochak, said, scored a brace in the PSV Youth League. So there you go. Thank you, Mark, for sending that on. Florian Wirtz Enjoyer said, when I lived in California, I used to go to a ton of Angels games, have loads of balls from BP. I can't get into it, man. It just feels so boring. Every time I try to watch baseball, I just don't get it. Aaron said, on my next trip to the UK, I want to go to an away match. Which venue is best? It depends what you want from it. So, like, Connor's gone to Craven Cottage and loved it. He thought it was a really cool, quirky stadium. I've been to Spurs Stadium, which I think is really good. I know Mike has been to West Ham. So, yeah, it depends what you want from the away trip. Yeah, depends what you want from it and where you want to travel to. Joseph said, sports washing. I like hosts to respect human rights. Like I said, I understand complaints about it, and I brought it up only for the atmosphere part of it because, you know, they put on great events. There's no denying that. They certainly have the money to do it, but I just don't like the atmospheres of the boxing shows. I find it a bit sterile. Keith said, Craig, Slot really needs to give Hugo 90. I wonder when he thinks he's able to play, because listening to him speak about it, Keith, it's like he thinks the intensity and the difference between the Bundesliga to the Premier League and the Europa League to the Champions League, he doesn't think he's able to do 90. But from the outside, obviously not having the underlying numbers or anything, he doesn't look like he's flagging. He doesn't look like he's tired when he's been taken off at 75. But again, if there's one thing I am willing to trust Arne and his team on, it is the management of the load on players, because him and Ruben Peters do a brilliant job. Do I watch wrestling? I don't anymore, but growing up until probably the age of 30, 32, every week. Loved it. Like, went to so many wrestling shows growing up. Yeah, love it. Just, I think as I got older and I had my own kids and my time was a little bit measured, I had to pick and choose the things I could watch, and wrestling was one of the things that gave way. But yeah, I always loved wrestling. You know, I love a good promo. So that's why I talk about Ric Flair and stuff so much. I just used to love those promos back in the day with him, with Hulk, with Macho Man, with the Ultimate Warrior, the $1 Million Man, all of it. Loved it. Do you ever see yourself doing watch-alongs apart from Liverpool? Personally, I would watch it. So I used to do it, but I'll tell you why I stopped, and I'll tell you honestly. And I don't know if other content creators would be as open about this or not, but I'll tell you about it. I think I was robbing the audience. When you watch me do a Liverpool watch-along, I kind of understand why people would have a look to some extent, because I'm emotional. I'm invested. I'm up, I'm down, I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm singing, I'm shouting, I'm whatever. But when I'm doing a non-Liverpool game, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll enjoy it from a footballing perspective, but it's a very different experience for the viewer than me doing a Liverpool game. So I basically stopped it because I felt like I was doing the audience a disservice, because it's not the same me as when I'm watching Liverpool. And it could never be the same me because I'm not as emotionally invested in it. But I would do it if I would want a team around me, though. So back in the day when I was doing stuff on That's Football for a little while with Goldbridge, that type of thing would have worked for me, where I didn't have to take care of any of the back end stuff, the thumbnails, the boring stuff. I just show up, do the game, have a bit of fun, and leave. So that would have appealed to me, but I just don't have the time to build a second channel, and we don't have a big enough team. You know, it's quite a small, close-knit team at Anfield Agenda. Nathan said, do you think Szoboszlai deserves to get played even though Frimpong is back? Do I think Szoboszlai deserves to get played? 100%. He's been our best player this season. I actually don't want them continuously use that right back. Yes, he can do a job there, but I want the competition in the midfield. So, you know, we have Gravenberg, who's going to be the deeper line player. Then you've got Maka, Wirtz, Szoboszlai and Jones. And I love the competition there. And I want players playing in their best position. So I think without a shadow of a doubt, Dominic Szoboszlai should be starting. And I don't think I'm wrong to say he's been our most consistent player this season. Itachi, I missed the super chat from you, sir. 1 second till I scroll back. And thank you, Mark, for giving me the heads up on it. And sorry I missed it initially, mate. this one. You said, let's do a poll. Who will score tomorrow? ISAK, Ekatike, or both? I don't have time to do it now, dude, because I left to go so late. Do you know what? I owe you, so let's do it. I owe you. Let's do a quick one, just to be fair, because I missed it. 1 sec. Right. So, who scores tomorrow? ISAK, Ekatike, or both? We'll run it for a quick 5-minute one, just because I missed your initial comment, dude. My bad on that one. Keith said, Saudi have bought WrestleMania for 2027. WWE got 250 million. Wow. That's a lot of money to bring WrestleMania. Wow. 250 million. Jeez, that's a lot of money. They've done other events, though, in Saudi, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure I'd seen other events that the WWE had on there. TJ said, good evening, Craig. I think ISAK will score the opening goal. I don't think he'll be on the pitch when we score the opening goal, because I don't expect him to start, sir. I think probably 30 minutes is what I'm expecting tomorrow. And I don't know. I'm just excited. You know, honestly, I'm like a big kid, just excited to see him playing. I can't wait. What's happening at 11 late night video, is it? Yep, I do. I've got some centre back topics that I'm going to record and get out now in a few minutes that I'd held off on tonight. But yeah, do make sure you check in at 11, because it should be up there or thereabouts. Craig, how do you know ISAK will start tomorrow? So I didn't ever say he was going to start. In fact, I've said the exact opposite. Oh, I have a bone to pick with you, Happy Craigo. One of your comments on one of the videos, you were saying something to me about Salah and why I'm not moaning about him not being dropped or something, which has nothing to do with what I was talking about. So it's not on me for the manager. Oh, I know what it was. You asked me why I didn't drop Salah in my predicted 11 for the game against Atletico Madrid. And it was pointed out to you by many people in it that the 11 that I pick is the 11 I think Arne is going to select for the game. And there's no way that Arne isn't starting Mohamed Salah. So I get that you're upset that Mohamed Salah is not playing well, but there's no way the manager's not picking him. So that's why he's in my starting 11, because my aim is to try and have a go at those videos to guess what the manager's going to do. Who's our strongest lineup with everybody on their best day? Oh, I don't know, man. That's a tough one, because we haven't got to see a lot of these combinations yet together. It's a super tough one to do, because you're disappointing some good players and you're leaving out some good players. Off the top of my head, like, let's say I went with Frimpong, Konate, Virgil, Allison, Kirkes, Gravenberg, Maka, Soboslai, Salah, Ekatike, Gakpo. You're leaving out Wirtz, you're leaving out ISAK. So it's a really tough one. And I do think it's a horses for courses type of thing, where the opposition may depend on who plays in each game and what attributes they have and what the manager thinks he'll need in the game. Billy Beckner said, we can't drop Salah, we just can't. He'll come good for sure. Oh, we definitely will, 100%. And I wouldn't be dropping him. I've no doubts that Mo will come around. I just was a bit surprised to read that comment from Happy Craigo, because he's usually quite supportive in his comments, and I just was a bit taken aback by it, because, like I said, there's no chance he is getting dropped, and I tried to pick what I think the manager will go with. Keith said, how long do you think it'll take ISAK to get fit? other side of the October international break. I'm going to stick with that answer because I think it's probably a fair one. There's fit and there's match fit. So I've no doubt he's fit because he would have kept himself ticking over, and look at him, there's not a pick on him. He's in good shape. But match fitness is a different thing, and that only really comes from repetition and getting out there and doing it on the pitch. So I think build him up, 25, 30, 60, and then maybe the 90. So my best guess would be after the October break. I'd love to see him ready for the United game. Selfishly, because I'm going to it, and also because it fits the time frame. Bet Guru said, I still believe Ibu renews. I just don't see any signs pointing in that direction personally. I hope you're right, dude. I want him to renew. But like I said, if there's been 3 offers and we're still not at the point where there's an agreement, I just find it hard to believe we're going to get there. Right. Vote on this poll till we get up to 500 before we finish up. Question was, who scores tomorrow? ISAK, Ekitike, or both? I feel Ekitike is going to score. Ekitike, Salah, Verge. They're my 3 goal scorers. No, I said Wirtz, didn't I? I said Wirtz. So I'm going to go Salah, Wirtz, Van Dijk. So no Ekitike. Jeremy said ISAK is going to get Amarim sacked. Fingers crossed. Jim said, brag on 350k subscribers and a great Galactico team. Hadn't been this way since about the 80s. Dream stuff. Just need you to watch some old videos on YouTube. I've watched them, Jim. But like I said, mate, I don't think it's fair for me to discuss players from an era I didn't see live and didn't watch and didn't grow up and know week in, week out. Of course, I know of all the great Liverpool players over the years. But I just feel when I talk, like if I do my best ever Liverpool 11, I always only do it, Jim, from players that I've seen in my time watching Liverpool, because where do you stop if you go all the way back? It's so difficult to compare eras and stuff like that. Happy Craig, all good, bro, all good. I know you're usually not that way inclined, Sarah. I know your comments from each night when you're in, so don't worry about it. I just was a little bit surprised. Right, look, I'm going to go record this news update video, like I promised. We're going to be talking about Joe Gomez and a club coming back in for him. We're going to be speaking about Ronald Araujo. We're going to talk about Konate. We're going to speak about Mark Gay. And that all coming up at about 11:05. So do keep an eye out for it. And on this poll, we didn't get to 500. We're nearly to 400. So let's see where it goes at 400. So a lot of optimism here. People saying both is the most answered one. 45% of people are going for both to score tomorrow. I love it. I love the optimism. Right, so 6:45 tomorrow. We'll see you for the game. There'll be a news video out, I think, before that, if I get the chance to do it, because I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. If not, I will see you tomorrow at 6:45. We'll talk then. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Oh, this one before we go. Didinho. United vlog, please. You said never, but it's due. I don't know, man. I'm going to the game. I want to enjoy it. I don't want to have to film it or think about content. I just want to go spend time with Brian, his brother, his missus, and enjoy the game.